Welcome to the Check Point Certified Security Administrator course, CCSA. My name is John Paul Chukwujeku. I am a network security engineer and I'll be your guide in this course. I have the CCSA certification. I have the CCVSA, which is the Checkpoint Certified Cloud Guard Administrator. I can protect the cloud from cyber attacks. And then I have the CCSE certification, which is the Checkpoint Certified Security Expert certification. And I was awarded by Checkpoint for being second runner up in a global cloud security competition representing Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I work in an IT firm and I have utilized checkpoints in protecting banks, in protecting oil companies, in protecting the government as well. So let's proceed to discuss. So in this course, we are going to take a look at the career pathway. We would also talk about who should attend the Checkpoint Certified Security Administrator course. We'll also take a look at the exam information. We will take a look at the course requirements and methodology. Then we're going to take a look at how to achieve hands-on labs and we'll also take a look at the course contents. So for checkpoints, the first certification that you have is the CCSA. In the CCSA, you'll be taught how to install the Checkpoint Security Gateway, the Checkpoint Security Management Server, how to install the Smart Console. You'll also be taught how to perform the secure internal communication. You'll be told on how to perform your VPN, your virtual private network, both your site-to-site VPN and your remote access VPN. You'd also see things like your SSL VPN. You would see how to configure your captive profile identity awareness. You would see how to integrate the checkpoint firewall with your Active Directory domain controller. You would also see how to perform application and URL filtering. You would see how to perform in threat prevention, how to protect the network from cyber attacks using antivirus, using antibots, using IPS, using threat emulation and threat extraction. You would also see how to view logs and many more features. Okay, so when you've gotten your CCSA certification, you're expected to go for your CCSE. Now, your CCSA certification is actually a 2 year certification, so the validity period is 2 years. And then after your CCSA, you would have to enroll for your CCSE. Now, the CCSE as well has a 2 year validity period, and after this, you would have to write the specialist exam. If you write two specialist exams, two Infinity Specialist exams, then you would be given the CCSM, which stands for the Checkpoint Certified Security Master. Now, all certifications are valid for 2 years. So, this particular course, the Checkpoint Certified Security Administrator course, is actually designed for networking and security professionals. So long as you've been in the network field, so long as you understand routing and switching, you understand the basic networking, and then you've done some things in security. It doesn't matter whether you are an expert or you are a beginner. This course is going to start from scratch and it will cater for everybody, both the networking and the security professionals, the system administrators, the support analysts, everybody that are involved in the configuration, administration, management, and monitoring of checkpoint appliances. So long as in your company you are either a network administrator or you've made use of checkpoints in protecting your network, if you've had hands-on experience with checkpoints, perhaps in a data center, this course is for you. But if you've never heard of checkpoints or you have never configured one, this course is also for you. And then if you are actively working towards getting your Checkpoint Certified Security Administrator certification, this course as well is for you. In this course, we are going to be having theories. We'll start from the scratch. We are going to be having labs. We're going to demonstrate everything. We're going to verify that configurations work. And then we're going to review exam related questions as well. So at the end of this particular course, you are guaranteed of passing your Checkpoint Certified Security Administrator exam. Now, participants who are hoping to enroll in this course should ensure that they have general knowledge of networking, general knowledge of the Windows operating system, as well as working knowledge of the internet. So this course, the Checkpoint Certified Security Administrator course, the exam code is 156-215.80. The exam costs $250. And then if you want to write the exam, it can be offered in English, in Chinese, and in Japanese languages. If you want to write this exam, you would have to go to a person view test center. You enroll on the person view website, and then you go to a test center to write the exam. Now, to write this exam, you're expected to have basic knowledge of networking. Now, after this training, or when you pass your exam, you'll be given this badge, the Checkpoint Certified Security Administrator badge. And then this certificate is valid for 2 years. Okay, so for the training, before you enroll in this course, you need to ensure that you have basic networking knowledge. You need to understand your TCP IP. You need to understand your routing. You need to understand static routes, RIP. You need to understand your OSPF. You need to understand EIGRP. You need to understand BGP. You also need to understand how traffic is being passed across the network. You need to understand basic networking. However, if you lack this basic knowledge, in this course, I would pass through the pain of putting you through. So, this course, we are going to be starting from the scratch. I'll be explaining static routing. I would explain your BGP. I'll explain RIP. I'll explain how traffic flows across the network. So, if you lack basic networking knowledge, you can also enroll. We are starting from the scratch, and then we'll start from the scratch to the to the finish. And then if you have 6 months experience with checkpoint products, it's recommended if you have at least 6 months experience, it will help you to grasp faster. So in this course, we are going to be having three modes of passing knowledge. We would have the normal videos, which would explain all the theories. You will get to understand the concepts, you get to understand the terminologies, you get to understand you have a working knowledge of how checkpoints operates and everything. You would also use slides, and then we'll have hands-on lab as well. So in this course, we are going to be taking a look at the following. We have 13 modules. The first one, which is the introduction to checkpoint technology, we've actually explained what checkpoints means and how checkpoints works. And in this particular module, we are going to be installing the checkpoint, the components that make up your checkpoint architecture. We will be installing the security management server. We'll also install the security gateway. We would install the smart console as well. And then we are going to onboard those devices. Would ensure that that the ICMP that you can ping across. Okay, so we're going to understand the stateful firewall, we understand the OSI layer, everything that pertains to checkpoint technology. And after that, once we've gathered enough knowledge, we'll come to secure internal communication. We'll see how the security management server can be used to manage your security gateways. However, before that management can be done, how we can use the secure internal communication to create trust between the security management server, and the security gateways. We'll also see how secure internal communication is being, like how this is being done. We're going to take a look at the internal certification authority. We'll see how certificates are being generated to be used for secure internal communication, to be used for your VPN, and to be used for user administration or user authentication. Next, we are going to take a look at your network address translation NAT. We're going to take a look at things like your hide NAT. The hide NAT is the same as the dynamic NAT, and it is a many to one mapping where you have many private IP addresses being mapped to a single public IP address. We're going to take a look at the static NAT, which is a one to one mapping. We would demonstrate NATs, would ensure and make sure that everything works very well. Then we're going to take a look at anti-spoofing. We'll see how anti-spoofing can be used to ensure that threat actors send do not make packets seem as if they are coming from the network. We'll see how to stop spoofing. And then we're going to take a look at security management. So we're going to see how we can set up policies to prevent access to specific URLs. We'll set up policies to protect the network from malwares. We'll set up policies to prevent users from downloading viruses. We'll set up policies to turn on the sandblast that Checkpoint has. We'll set up policies for everything. Checkpoint has lots of blades. There is the URL there's a URL filtering blade, there's the application control blade, there is also the firewall blade, there's the identity awareness blade, there is the content awareness blade, there is a data loss prevention blade, there is also, you know, the threat emulation, the threat extraction, the antibots, the antivirus, the IPS, the network policy management, there are lots of blades. So we're going to be setting policies on how to the policies will be used in controlling the flow of traffic and protecting the organization from attacks. And then we're going to be creating policies now and policy layers. Now policy layers would help us to organize the role base. Then we're going to perform backups. We'll perform both system backups. We'll do database migration. We'll take snapshots. We're going to restore snapshots as well. We'll back up to our FTP server. We'll back up to the TFTP server. We'll back up using SCP. We'll back up. Then we're going to back up locally as well. And then we'll take a look at the security software blades. Just like I earlier mentioned, the antivirus blade, the IPS blade, the antibot, the threat prevention, the threat emulation, the content awareness, the identity awareness, the data loss prevention, application and URL filtering, the smart events, all the blades that Checkpoint has. We're going to see how these blades function. We'll also see things like the containers as well. Then we're going to talk about the licenses, the plug and play license, the evaluation license, the subscription license, and the perpetual license. We're going to see how to generate licenses. We're going to see how to apply those licenses. And then after that, we're going to take a look at traffic visibility in Module 9. Okay, so we're going to take a look at logs. We're going to see how logs work in checkpoints. We're going to enable the smart events and but we're going to enable smart events. We're going to see how to get reports and everything. And then in module 10, we'll take a look at the virtual private network. We're going to enable IPsec. We're going to take a look at the IKE, and then at the same time, we're going to do site-to-site VPN. We are going to do remote access VPN. We'll test all of this. We'll ensure that encrypted tunnels are created between gateways in the head office and in the branch as well. And then we're going to see how workers from their houses can connect securely, remotely to the office servers. And then we're going to manage user access. And then so we're going to manage user access. We're going to integrate checkpoints with our Active Directory domain controller. We're going to do browser-based authentication. We are going to use Captive Portal to capture the identities of users who are trying to access network resources. And then at the same time, talking about user management, we're going to use our network access control devices. We're going to integrate checkpoints with Cisco ICE. We're going to integrate checkpoints with our radio server. We're going to integrate it with a Taka server. We're going to do the AAA, which is the authentication, accounting, and authorization. And then for Cluster Excel, we are going to work with Cluster Excel. We'll perform high availability and load sharing. So we're going to have two or more firewalls being performing redundancy. So we're going to have the active and also the active standby methods. We're going to demonstrate everything. We'll perform manual failovers to ensure that if a particular gateway goes down, that the second gateway comes up immediately and that there is zero downtime. And then the next thing that we would do would be the administrator tax implementation. We are going to take a look at compliance. We're going to see how to ensure that the policies that we've created are in line with the industry best practices. And at the same time, we're going to take a look at CP view and CP info. So in this course, for every module, there is theory. You have the theory, which is like an explanation, and then there are labs. So you have a video for the theory. You have another video which talks about the lab. Now this lab covers everything under introduction to checkpoint technology, and then you have the workbook as well. Okay, this is for checkpoints, introduction to checkpoint technology. And then for your secure internal communication, you have the theory, the lab, and the workbook. For your NATs and anti-spoofing, you have the theory, which is like the teaching, and then you have another video for the lab, and then for the workbook as well. So for everything, for the 13 modules, you have theory, theoretical videos, you have practical lab videos, and you have your workbook. And then talking about the lab, we are going to be using the EVNG. So you can use EVNG for your lab, you can use VMware for your lab, and you can use GNS3 for your lab. So this is our lab topology. In this, but so we're going to add more devices, but this is the basic lab topology. You have your security management server, you have your security gateway, you have your ISP routers, you have the internet, you have the branch gateway, you have a remote computer, you have a test computer, you have your switches, and then you have your Active Directory domain controller, which is installed on your Windows server. So I would indulge you to enroll for this course. It is going to be informative, it is going to be educative, and you're guaranteed that if you partake actively in this course, it will be helpful towards passing your Checkpoint Certified Security Administrator exam. Thank you.